Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Zondag's Weekday Live Show live here on Facebook and YouTube. And when you're watching this on LinkedIn or on YouTube as a replay, so cool you're here. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Maurice Zondag and I am a personal leadership lion. So what we do here at Master Your Personality is we teach people who want to create a better life for themselves. Be the one that you want to be, how to create your happiness, how to take control in your life in this world where control seems so fragile, right? Things are happening to us and the world's on fire. So how do you fix that? How do you take care of yourself? So cool you're here. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk today about this other pandemic. There is another pandemic walking around on the earth, going around there, and it has been doing that for decades. And this second pandemic that's been going on, it's not a virus, but it's very lethal. And the problem is that this pandemic, and I don't know why not so many people talk about this, because I get it, that the pandemic that we're in, right? The corona, the COVID-19 situation. I mean, that's an imminent threat, right? You can kill your grandparents if you hug them. You can infect people when you party with friends, and you can infect thousands of people by that. So it's an imminent threat, and we need to take action, right? To take care that we're not killing the ones we love, or the neighbors, or anyone else around the world. And that's true, right? It is happening there, and we shouldn't ignore it. But which is more like dangerous is the pandemic you don't see. And that pandemic is already infecting so many people that in most modern worlds, like let's say United States, Canada, South America, Africa, Australia, Europe, also to so many countries or continents are already infected by that. And it's been going on for decades. And that's how long it takes to infect all these people. And it's happening because we don't see it. We don't see what's happening because it goes so slowly. But the figures show themselves. More than 50% of the people living in those states, those countries, those continents, are a victim of this second pandemic. And that is the threat that's really killing most of us. Because, in the end, it's not a virus that will kill you immediately. It's not a bacteria that will eat you from within and kill you within overnight. No, it's doing it slowly but efficient. And you'll get 50 and you'll discover, oh, that was my phone. You'll be 50 and then you'll discover that you have, you're having liver problems or kidney problems. You're 40 and you work hard, you do your work, right? You do everything you do. And all of a sudden you go for your walk and you feel this pressure in your chest and you have a heart attack. Or you're 36 and you get diagnosed with cancer. Or you're 70 and your memory loses its function and you don't even recognize your kids anymore. Those diseases, right? The diseases like the heart attack, like the heart disease, the cardiovascular diseases, Alzheimer, diabetes, type 2. That's one of the wellness sickness. It used to be the old diabetes, right? The people that old people, the diabetes type that old people will get. But now these days, they're over the biggest amount of people that get diabetes type 2 are younger than 50, right? or like from 50 to their end of age. And research has shown that people from 50 to 30, more than 50% already has pre-diabetes. The Diabetes Foundation said it would probably be the case that over 60% of people in 2030, if I remember correctly, would have um, diabetes type 2. And diabetes type 2 is a signal that where you're having an insulin problem, right? You're having a hormonal problem. Your body cannot create enough insulin to process all the glucose in your blood, and you need to inject glucose or inject not glucose, inject insulin or other medicine to make sure that it's getting down, right? So that pandemic that's going on, which is more than 50% of the world, is coming from the fact that we eat not right, and we get stuck up with overweight. Yes, I keep talking about overweight. It took me years before I recognized that this is actually a problem, that it's actually a problem that you need to solve. And it can be solved, right? I'll get to that in a second. But it's an attack on your health. So we need to make sure that we create a healthier lifestyle, that we create a life where you are not overweight. There is this website you can put in your length and the amount of weight you put on the scale. And if the final score is more than 25, you are overweight. That's called the BMI, the body mass index. That means that you are overweight, probably. If you have a BMI of over 30, you're being obese. If you have an BMI over 35, you're morbid obese, which means you're in immediate danger of your health. So what does it mean? Well, it means that if you have too much weight in comparison with your length, right? That means that you probably are too fat, because that's the main problem. Now, if you are a bodybuilder, right, and you're working out all day long, eating like crazy, and you're really pumped up, you probably have a BMI over 30. So that's not obese because you are in combined with fat and muscle mass, right? You're in a good shape. But for most people, that's not the case, right? If you have a fat percentage over 20%, you're not healthy. That's just the case. It needs to be for a male around 17 to 20% of your body composure, right? So if you have that, if you are more than that, if you have overweight, you're becoming a victim of this situation, of this pandemic. And if there is already more than 50%, of the Western population are overweight, they are facing a future where they have a very high risk of cardiovascular disease, heart attack, Alzheimer, brain damage, like I said, Alzheimer. I keep reminding. Well, that's not a good sign, right? But also kidney problems, liver problems, and even you're more affected to other viruses, like, for example, COVID. So if you are overweight and you get the virus, your body isn't strong enough to fight the virus off, because when you are overweight, you're stuffed with inflammations, which is an attack on your immune system, right? So your inflammations, and those are the inflammations you don't really feel. You don't feel that you are inflammatory if you are overweight, but you are. There are these little problems happening in your liver. If you have a fatty liver because you're too fat, that means that you have some inflammations going on there, which is being solved by your immune system. But when it's doing it pretty tough every day, every minute of the day, and you get infected by a virus, which isn't just a cold, right? But it's more eminent, like the virus that we're facing at the moment. There's not enough power in your immune system to fight that as well. So it will lose the fight and it will make you very, very, very sick, and we'll have to push you into IC on the hospitals. So that is the real long term problem that we're facing, everyone. And of course, you know when you're overweight. I don't have to tell you if you're overweight or not. You know very well by yourself. Just look in the mirror. It's just that simple. Take off all your clothes and take a look in the mirror, and you'll see, right? If you and if you put it on the scale and you say, I have this BMI score of over 25, if it's 25.5 and if it's 26, and you're working out a lot and you're having a healthy lifestyle, I shouldn't worry that much. But if you are around 30 or higher, and if you are around 29, BMI 29, and you don't work out, you don't do anything from sports, and you look downwards and you see that you have this little tummy there, right? The dad bun. The dad bun isn't something cute. It maybe it's portrayed like that, right? But it's not cute. It's a danger. It's showing your body that you have too much fat in your gut, which is blocking all good things in your system. Um, and yes, you shouldn't be ashamed of your body. You should be okay with who you are, right? Honest beauty and honest truth and things like that. It's all true. You shouldn't be ashamed of the body you have and the body you've built over the years. Because you know what? Being overweight isn't your fault. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix it, right? But it's not your fault. You don't have an eating problem. You don't have an eating disorder if you're fat. An eating disorder is a mental issue, right? It's something that has something to do with how you view yourself and how you view the world around you and how you've been growing up. That's where eating disorders comes from, right? If you have anorexia or binge eating disorder or bulimia, that's an whole other discussion, right? That's not. It's not. It's never about the food. Even those types of eating disorders, it's not about the food. It's something else. And if you don't have, if you're not diagnosed with one of these personality diseases or traits, but you're just overweight, like I've been for many years, right? I'm not sure if I still have the picture around here. Yeah, that's a picture of me, right? On the left, that was 2017, 3 years ago, when I was in Morocco, right? Too much belly fat, dude. You're too fat. You're getting towards a bad life in the future. So I did change that. So I did something to change that because I knew it wasn't my fault, but it was my responsibility because it's my body, right? This is my body. The way I look, what I do, how I exercise, how I nurture it, how I nourish it, or how I take care of it. That's my responsibility because it's my body. It's just I need it to live, right? To be alive. So that's why health is so important. And when 50% of the world is too sick or too overweight and getting ready to get diabetes type 2, to get ready to have cancer or have a heart attack when you're 40, that's the honest truth that's happening out there. But it's not your fault. Now, whose fault is it then, right? If it's not my fault, there should be someone who's to blame, right? Well, if we want to blame someone, let's blame science, right, for informing us the wrong way in the past. They didn't do it on purpose, maybe, or maybe they did. There's this story going around. I'm not sure if it's an urban myth, but it's a story where what I've been told that there was this researcher in the 60s, and he has this idea that we become fat because we eat fat, right? So he discovered that a lot of countries, he studied the eating patterns of different countries where they have more fatty foods, right? And they discovered that there were certain types of food people ate and they were fat. So it says, they eat a lot of fat, so you're fat. And that's pretty much his conclusion. Now, Later, years later, many years later, he it showed that this his study wasn't executed very honest, because he left out other results from other countries where they also have fatty foods but are not fat, right? So countries that he took into his account were things like Spain and Italy and Greece. They have a lot of olive oil and fatty grease and cheeses and those kind of things. But he forgot to take into account countries like Scandinavian countries where they eat a lot of fatty fish, right? And they're not overweight by default back then. So what has been discovered in the past couple of decades already, I mean, it's something we all know, that we don't become fat from fat, but we become fat by sugar. We have become fat by the wrong fats, let's call it that, because fat do play a role, right? The trans fats has been playing a big role there, which was or is in a lot of processed food, and even in canned food or cookies or things like that, just to make them look good, right? Like that, make them taste good, because fat makes food taste better. It's just a tasting amplifier. But if we wanted to get rid of fat because we wanted to have a low fat diet, because fat makes you fat, that's the thing that we've learned all these decades for so long. Me too, right? In my younger years, I was taught you should eat light products with all the fat, get rid of it. Um, but in the recent studies, they actually show that it's not the fat that's making you fat, it's the overkill of glucose in your system. And that's the problem. When you get too much glucose in your system, your insulin is storing that remainder of glucose that it can't use immediately as energy. It gets stored as fat, and that's how you get fat. So it's not your fault. You've just learned the wrong thing. You've learned that it's wrong to eat fat, right? You see someone eat a hamburger, and seeing the grease coming out and the mayonnaise and things like that, and you think, oh man, yeah, no wonder he's fat, because you look at all the fat that he's eating. But it's not the fat per se that comes from the meat dripping out of it that's making him fat. It's the combination of the things that he's eating. So if you combine macronutrients, like there are three main ingredients in all types of food, which is either fat, it's either protein, and it's either carbohydrates. It's one of those three, right? Those are the big three. So if you look at only those three, you'll see that if you eat a lot of food with a lot of carbohydrates, which is also sugar, which is getting transformed into glucose in your blood sugar rises, your insulin rises, so it lowers your blood sugar level again and takes out the glucose and puts it up to the cells and use it as energy. And what it can use, it puts it in the reserve area for storing it as fat. That's the system. That's how it works. And if you have high carbohydrate intake food, like lots of bread, if you have lots of combinations of bread and grain products, and the wrong types of grease or fats, you have potatoes, you have rice, you have, or white rice for most of that thing, or not the whole grain rice, right? Or you have pasta. Those are the things that are very high in their carbohydrates. And it's okay to eat carbs, right? It's like instant energy, especially if you have a lot of fiber around these carbohydrates. I mean, that's totally cool, because the fiber makes sure that the carbohydrates are being processed slower than regularly. If you just eat a tablespoon of sugar, it gets right into your bloodstream, so to say. So we don't want that, right? If you combine it with fiber, that's totally cool. It's just we've had too much, right? We've learned you need a healthy breakfast, so you have to eat your bread, or you have to eat your cereals. Well, look at the cereals box in your closet, right? How much sugar is in those cereals? Even in bread, there's sugar, right? Because what happens when you bake bread and you put a little sugar in it, well, the crust gets caramelized, so it's like tasty, and it's, yeah, I mean, food tastes better when it's sweet, right? We use sugar to make food taste better. So that's been happening. So you've just been taught wrong, right? You haven't learned it the right way. So what happened, what I did is I actually banned as much as sugar out of my life as I could. So I quit it, I quit my intake of bread. I don't eat any bread anymore, or pretty much not anymore. And if I do eat bread, I want the whole grain bread, right? The real whole grain, or crackers or things like that. But it's just not every day and not 3 times a day. I used to eat 6 slices of bread in the morning, and then 4 in the afternoon as my lunch, and then at dinner time I'd love to have pasta, fusilli, or something like that, or lasagna, and have a full meal again. That's just too much carbohydrates, right? And so when I went on diets, they said, you can eat 1 slice of bread with just one small piece of chicken on it, but it's not the chicken, right? It's not the peanut butter. It's not, well, some sort of peanut butter, because there could be sugar in there, or it's not the. But in general, what I've learned is that all the food that tastes good but has no sugar in it, that's the only combination, right? If it tastes good but it has no sugar in it, it's okay to eat it. And if it's fresh, right? If it's a vegetable, if it's a fruit, if it's meat, if it's eggs, it's dairy, or it's, fish, nuts, seeds, things like that, it's natural, right? It's not processed somewhere in a factory. It's not created from different elements, stripped down and put in again, and stumbled and boiled and steamed and then cooled down again and being torn up. Here's corn syrup, right? No, it's that's the problem. There's no nutrients in there that will actually help you. So you're keep feeling hungry, so you'll eat more, which is a good thing for business, right? If I create food you want to eat more of, that's good for my business. So no wonder that's the food industry doing that, right? It's an interesting business model, but it doesn't help you. So what you need to do is lower that carb intake, right? You don't have to go full on keto. You can, of course, just like I did. I even combined ketogenic diet, which is like 5 to 10% carbohydrates, like really low, right? And really high in the fats. And you lose weight. And it sounds so counterintuitive, right? Eating fatty food and you'll lose weight. But it actually happened. I lost my 25, 30 pounds in about 2.5 months, which is crazy, right? I've been struggling with my weight for so many years, and all of a sudden, when I do this, bam, it was gone, right? And well, you just saw the picture, the difference of that. And the start, I mean, I didn't had a picture where I was in nature, standing there like I was standing in the other picture, which I took recently. That's why I took a picture of 3 years ago. But that picture is when when I were around 110 kilos, which is around 230 pounds, I think. And I lost those 30 pounds. So that's just how it went, because I lowered the carbs. Now, what I did, I combined the ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting, which means that you don't eat for 16 to 18 hours, which in practical situations would be that I only eat at lunch and dinner time. That's the only time a day I eat. So I skip breakfast, right? Pretty much like that. And I also took a supplement, which is exogenous ketones, which help me get into ketosis, which is the state that you're in if you're not burning glucose anymore, but you're creating an alternative energy source. So that's pretty much what I did, but that's pretty drastic, right? You can do it in a different way. You can do it more like the easier way, and just lower your carb intake. Stop eating bread for starters, and then just don't eat potatoes anymore, or fries, or things like that. Just eat the vegetables, eat the meat, eat the herbs. Have it tasteful with combining it with cheese, and combining it with all these other things you can combine it with, right? Garlic and all these great stuff that you can create really beautiful, tasteful food dishes and enjoy food really like rich in taste, and not only having a mass volume to get into your system while watching TV, right? So today I had my cheat day. I just came home from a long time meeting. So we ordered some stuff in, and I thought, wow, I'm having some ribs and having some French fries. And man, yeah, damn, it tastes really good, right? It's good, tasteful food. But in about an hour, my stomach really, set up, right? Was set up like from, "Boo, dude, what the fuck did you just put in there?" So after, it was at the moment, it kind of like tasted well, right? But in the end, I didn't feel that good with it, right? Same goes if you eat a lot of sugar. If I have ice cream or like a big dessert, right? I don't feel that good anymore afterwards. At the moment, it tastes good, right? So you'll get that gratification. But my addiction from sugar, and it really tastes sweet, by the way. Damn, man, all the food is so sweet these days because I got rid of this addiction of sugar. And that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to lose the weight, right? Because you get used to the food and there's so much sugar in the food, so you'll get addicted to that taste and you want more of it. That's just how our system works. You've been learning the wrong way. So I'd like to really emphasize this second pandemic where the half of the world is being killed as a sniper, which just is waiting its time, right? And is laying there with its gun and bang, cancer, bang, arthritis, bang, Alzheimer, bang, another heart attack, bang, the kidney problems, bang, gallstones, bang, whatever it is. It's a sniper who's waiting for its chance, and it can wait for 30, 40 years before it's there. But no, you have to know that it can be changed. If you pull it back, if you say, I'm taking back control in my life, I become the lion of my kingdom again, right? If you want to do that, you need to take care of that health part. It will guide you. It will guard you against corona. It will make you less, less risky to be very, very sick of it. It will give you a better health overall. You'll feel more energetic. You'll feel better. If you're losing weight, man, that feels so good, right? I would be able to run for 10 kilometers. I just feel so much better. There's so much little things in my body which used to cause, pains or discomforts, right? Which are gone. And one of the biggest things that really struck me, I do have them laying around here, I guess, somewhere, or not. Well, maybe I threw them away already. About 2 years ago, I 3 years ago, maybe even 3, 4, I noticed that I needed a reading glasses. So I bought some reading glasses so I can, when I'm working on my computer or reading a book, I could read better. Half a year ago, where pretty much the 2 months were done, right? When I lost all that weight and went into ketosis for most of the times, I noticed that when I was wearing those glasses, I didn't see that well as what I did before, which was weird, right? But it felt like I don't need them anymore. And I haven't worn them since then. Crazy, right? And there's not one single scientist that can explain to me what happened, because it's not something you see often, that you improve your sight when getting into ketosis. But what we do see is that if you are eating very great amounts of sugar, and if you are being diabetic, it can hurt your eyes, because it's there's this thing that's happening to your eyes. And maybe for some reason I got in on time and maybe prevented it or rewinded it or whatever it is, but I don't need reading glasses anymore, right? So there's so many benefits in doing this. And I really want to emphasize, if you're still here, I thank you so much for being here. And if you got a question, please let it know in the comments, right? Because I really want to help you. And I've got this method that I can just, you know, use for yourself, so you can actually start doing this as well. And I'll be your coach during this whole period of time. In 13 weeks, we'll dive into how you can improve your health as well, lose the weight you want to lose. You know, if you were around the same amounts that I was, 30 pounds is possible in 13 weeks, right? That's definitely possible, but you got to do the work and you got to know what to do. So I'll educate you exactly on what's happening inside your body. What does insulin exactly do? How does this work in your system? What is the ketogenic diet? How can you implement that? Those kind of things. How can you implement intermittent fasting? And when we start doing this, we can build a foundation that is something you can build on the rest of your life on, right? You can actually start creating something new in your life, that you are in control of things, where you feel more energized, you feel better. And if you feel more energized and you do feel better, you can attack all the other things that's holding you down. And you actually, I mean, it is depressing days sometimes, right? We're sitting home all day, can't do anything, doing nothing. But if you feel more energized and if you feel more happy, that burden has gone down as well. So become the lion of your kingdom again, and start building on your health as well. Don't be a victim to the sniper of this pandemic that's been going on for 40 years already. And, you know, lose the weight. And it's not your fault. I mean, that's for sure. It's not your fault. But it is your responsibility, right? You get that now. So thank you so much for being here. Oh man, I just did totally wrong. Ah, there it is. What happened? Where? Ah, right. I changed the picture. Okay. Well, doesn't matter, right? Thank you so much for watching. Doing this every day. So I'm back here tomorrow on Monday to Friday, if I have my schedule set. So if there's nothing, you know, if nothing personal comes through, I'll be here, just, you know, sitting at home, being in the lockdown. So no worries. I hope you're fine. I hope you're healthy. Build on that health. Start building. masteryourpersonality.com. You can find more information there about the program that I have, especially designed for this. How I did it is exactly how you can do it as well. I've done it with others as well. We've run with a couple of clients already, so it's very awesome that we see those same results there, which is pretty awesome. So thank you so very much, and I see you guys tomorrow again. Ciao. That was like Italian for ciao, or at least I tried. So yeah, bye.